All right. Time to get money now.
Got to get that money.
Get that money now.
Get money.
It should be Bone Thugs and Harmony. Got to make that money, man. That money, man. All right, man. Well, today's a huge day. We're actually getting this episode in before we head out to the Bandera. Jay Kinder, appreciate you.
It's good to be here. I came the whole 5 blocks from here. That felt good.
So how's it like? How does it feel? Moved into town now?
Man, dude, it's nice. Everything's convenient, man. 5 minutes to just about everything.
That's awesome.
Yep.
You nervous about this ultra marathon today, Woods?
Man, I am a little nervous. The thing that I'm most nervous about is just having all my stuff. So the one thing that I don't have is a headlamp because, it's going to get dark at like 5, 6 o'clock.
Yep.
And that's kind of like not even halfway through.
But
Maybe it is halfway through.
You got your rain jacket, right?
I got a headlamp at the house you can have.
Oh, dude, you just gave me a lot more anxiety. I know I checked the weather, though. I don't think that we have any rain in the forecast.
Okay, that was yesterday.
Yeah, I think we're going to be good.
So, yeah, man, we were up in Canada this week. One of the things that we've been focused on, the first thing is, if you don't know, we've launched the Get Money Now podcast. It will be coming out. You can go join the group at joingetmoneynow.com. And in all fairness, most agents always are at some point. I don't care who you are. Even for me, January and February, even when I was having my best year ever, I still needed to get some money right now.
Yep.
And so we want to talk a little bit about that today. There's a couple things that have been out on the road, and this is something that, everybody's asking me about right now. And in fact, Woods said it on the plane, was, creating packages. And I know this has nothing to do with Get Money Now, but I'm just saying, we have to lay out the package option. One thing that's just been coming up in some of our events are, when we used to offer gold, silver, or platinum packages, and how awesome that was, and really talking to people about the different ways to get into those conversations. And anyway, it comes out really, really nice in a workshop. People tend to really gravitate towards that.
Well, it's a simple strategy, right? I mean, you're not doing anything different, but you're just leveraging marketing to make the value visible, right?
Right.
And we all know that, given the choice of 3 options, people usually pick the middle option.
Right.
Right. And so when you've got flexible commission rates and you've got a 7%, you got a 6.5%, you got a 6%, it's amazing, how many people will choose that middle road, but it gives you an opportunity to make the value visible, man.
Right.
That's what great marketing does,
No doubt.
Yeah. I mean, I know, Jay, you use that program, sure, in your business.
Yeah, we did. We did that research back then, right? Looking at, I think we were looking at what is it? Insanity, whatever what is the dang company that?
Yeah, Insanity Body.
Body for Life.
Beachbody.
Yeah.
We looked at what their program was online, and it was 3 options, with the middle one being the most chosen by most customers, right? And so it's just like the natural thing people gravitate towards. So when people want to ask for a discount, well, what things do you want me to not do, right?
Yeah.
Well, these are the things that you can choose that if you want to, but that's not maybe in your best interest as a seller, right?
Well, and I guess that would be getting money now, because right now, if you're giving money away, then you can get your money right back right now by simply having options. And the truth is that for me, I always go with the better option. I mean, I don't always go with the top option, but if there's an option to have something a little bit better, a better experience, I don't have to, it's going to take something away that is kind of, I'm like, well, I don't know how I'm going to do, like a mover, if they include the boxes, right? Hey, here's a package. We include the boxes, and we come out the day before and give you this, that, and the other. Right. You just moved. I'm sure you're familiar with the different options. Did you have an option to pack all your stuff?
There was an option to do that, and I opted against that. Obviously, I went with the highest package. Actually, I think Amber went with the highest package. That wasn't my decision, but that's that gives you an opportunity to have a lower cost for people that are cost conscious, right?
Yeah, and it gets the phone to ring.
Right.
Yeah, because in mine, one of my best mailers, was I offered so one of the things that you can do to get money now is you can, if your ads aren't compelling enough to make the phone ring, you can switch your value proposition. Mm-hmm. And one of the things I added was flexible commission rates. When I had this, I was using the smart seller program. And I had, because commissions are flexible and, you know, you get to, that's one of the best things about being in real estate is that we get to give our clients options. I thought, hey, you know, I had all my for sale by owners. They would want to not list with me because they had someone that they thought they were going to sell the home to when we know they weren't. So I actually had an option to pay as little as 0% commission. Right. And let me tell you, my competition did not like that, Miller, including my broker at the time. I mean, I got called into my broker's office saying, we don't advertise 0 commission.
Right.
And anyway, but it made the phone ring.
Yeah, you don't. We do.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, one of the things that I think is, you know, when I'm out on the road talking to agents, and I know we had a little side conversation this morning, but one of the great things about being able to be out there in the trenches talking to so many agents is a lot of agents, you know, they don't have a strategy that takes into consideration what they're going to do based upon the investment of time or the investment of money. So that whole cash conversion cycle, you were saying that's one of the first things you go over with.
Had 2 conversations yesterday about it. And that's where it starts. I mean, it always starts with the clarity report, you know, getting clear on where you're at, where you're trying to go. But then it comes down to like, hey, if you're going to spend any money in your business to acquire a client, then you need to understand what that investment is and how long it's going to take before it pays you back, right? And I think a lot of agents don't think about that. I didn't used to think about that until I learned a few lessons. But it's the most important thing is understanding, hey, listen, this is a commitment of, let's say it's $1,000 a month, but it takes 90 days before you close your first deal. It's a $3,000 investment, right? And if that's going to cut into your core capital and it's going to, cut into the money you need to live on, then you don't have enough money saved up for this marketing investment, right? Like that's the mindset.
Well, let me ask you a question. This is and this is actually probably going to be really natural for you, but it'd be very helpful for a lot. So first of all, a lady that came in here last week, I did her clarity meeting. Her name is Rachel Boston. Shout out to Rachel Boston. She's a new partner of ours.
So Rachel.
And she sent me a text message that she had. Guess how many people came through her open house?
She used the open house funnel with the signs.
Guess.
38. 40 people?
40 people. Dude, look at this. Look at her sign.
Yep.
Right? And so what would you do right now if your son came up to you and said, Dad, I got nothing in the pipeline. I need to make some money right now. What would you say, Jay Kinder?
You guys laid it out. The open house funnels is probably the easiest, low cost, quick meet buyers that are actually out driving around and looking at homes. That's a direct action towards somebody that's actually looking to buy, not just a lead that's looking online. So I'd probably go with that. That would be the easiest.
So and let's talk about that for a minute, because the open house funnel that you can do today is different than 10. I mean, the open house. I remember talking to Jim Brooks. He said, "Man, I moved to Las Vegas and he was driving me, by some homes. This guy's now one of the top agents. Does a ton of top agents in Las Vegas. Does a ton of condos. Yeah." And he said, "Man, when I moved here, I didn't know anybody." He said, "I used to sit in that open house every time I didn't have a deal on. I would generate deals." And there's a lot of people that do that. The cool thing about open houses now is that we have social media, right? And so we have Facebook Live. We have the ability to go and download everybody's address and upload them into a custom audience and get more attention. So there's a lot of things. In fact, we got a 35. We in the open house funnel we did with Rachel, we laid it out, the things that we've done for years, and then just adding on,
right.
Taking, how do you use Instagram? How do you use Facebook? How do you use LinkedIn? How do you use all of these social media platforms in order to get more people? Because that's essentially what you're doing. Is an open house is an opportunity, but you have, like in any opportunity, you have to have a fundamental, you have to have traffic, you have to have an offer. If you go to an open house and you don't have a compelling, what was one of your most compelling offers on an open house?
Back in the day, it was the top 10 properties, best deals in the market. That was one of the things that I always created and took with me. It was a top 10 list or vacant homes list or something that was, that they felt like was kind of exclusive that they couldn't just get somewhere else.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you did I'm sure during the heyday, you were doing the free list of foreclosure, short sales, that kind of thing.
Yep.
Yeah, I think I remember seeing a video. There's a video of you on YouTube, guys. If you search a YouTube video for Jay Kinder open house, I'm sure there's a video of you driving around in a Bentley with probably about 300 signs.
Yeah,
there's probably 300.
It was the first one I ever did that way, and we crushed it.
Yeah, so and I mean that's the point too, right? You know, putting 300 signs out in the marketplace,
right?
I mean, that's going to get a lot of attention.
Right. Yeah,
right?
it did. It was the busiest open house I've ever had. I can't remember the number. It was probably between 60 and 80. We sold the house, which that rarely happens, but it did that day. And we picked up, I know, 3 buyers that bought from that open house, and probably more that trickled down effect that I wasn't tracking. But it was a very successful, few hours. The funniest part about that was putting out the signs. There were people that were following us, and because we were putting out so many, they were just following us on the side of the road because one sign, we put up another 10 signs, we put up another 10 signs, and they just kept following us until they got to the house. That was the biggest lesson learned, was like, we should start from the back and move the other direction next time. It's
just so funny because you have like agents that think about open houses like it's a waste of time, wouldn't want to do an open house. But it's the cool thing I like about the open house funnel is it teaches you the framework of marketing. Like you were saying earlier, right? Traffic, offer, right? Like you have the opportunity when you go through the funnel and when you really nail it down and implement all the different traffic strategies.
Yep.
I think it makes it easier to understand how to like.
It's a great exercise in marketing.
Well, yeah, it's like the only one principle. So like it might be hard for somebody to go out and start doing Facebook Lives all the time. They're like, well, what am I going to talk about?
Right.
Well, when it's aimed at an open house, when it's aimed at a specific neighborhood, it makes it easier.
Well, the main principle here is that most people don't measure anything, so that can't be improved. When we go out on the road, people don't even know how many people come to their website, much less, how many people came to, there has to be the understanding of an open house isn't going to be successful if it doesn't have traffic. What are the things that you can proactively manage that are in your control to increase traffic? Where are all of the ways? Well, you can knock on doors and invite people. You can upload people's address and target them through custom audiences. You can pick a house that's close to a stoplight, which might have a traffic count, which means it's in a good location, right? Location's important.
Absolutely.
And so all of those things, when you obey those laws, and another thing that we've done with Chase is we told him to go to a little bit higher of a price point, and it's just like if somebody comes to your house to work on your AC, they don't charge you more based upon the cost of your house. It's the same cost, right? So, and if you're going to go do an open house, if you can go get an open house that's double the medium home sales price in your market, and you do pick up a buyer, I can tell you this is what Chase said verbatim. I wish I could get him to call in. He said that the higher the price point, the more likely they're not represented. That's what he told me.
Right. That's great.
Yeah.
It's optimization. I mean, it's funny because, there's probably a lot of agents listening right now that are like, holy shit, I'm doing nothing. Like, I'm not, like, they're doing open houses and they're
with
just
3 riders.
Right. And just like showing up, 10 minutes before, right? Like, I mean, I used to
with
do
the
it.
shitty attitude, thinking like, oh, why am I doing this again?
Waste of time.
Right.
Yeah.
Or you could just get better.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's simple.
Well, definitely having an offer. I mean, the biggest thing is, people do marketing with no offer.
Right.
You have to have a compelling reason for people to take action, and a really, you want to be able to offer something of value. If you're trying to get people's information, you're trying to generate leads, you're trying to get into conversations with people. Well, what's something of value that you can provide for them that's not something that they can get from another source or just easily, readily available online? That's one of the reasons why, like you were saying, access to certain types of properties, the best deals, list of foreclosures, bank-owned properties, all those things that's something that is a compelling, reason for me to want to, give you my information in exchange for that.
Right.
I remember being at an open house, just reading a book, and I actually said a prayer. I swear to you, I said a prayer at the open house. I wouldn't lie about it. I said a prayer at the open house, and it started raining. I said, if nobody shows up in 15 minutes, I'm never doing this again. And this guy named Cedric Mills shows up in a minivan with this whole family. I followed him back to his house, listed his home. And one thing that Rachel said in this text message about her success this past weekend was that she picked up a listing. So it's not, if you market an open house correctly, you got to understand how many, like think about all the signs that are going to go out for sale in a neighborhood in the next 6 months. There's a lot of signs. And so an open house, it's all about impressions. It's a contact sport. So if you think where your current house that you're holding open, there's a probability that there's a home on every street in that neighborhood that's going to be going for sale. It's an excuse to offer somebody almost in a way where you're actually saying, hey, listen, I work really hard for my clients. I mean, that's what you're saying.
Yeah. You're demonstrating.
Demonstration,
Yeah, you're demonstrating that you're out there hustling. And if you have something really of value and you dial that in, I think just inviting people in the neighborhood and doing that repeatedly, it's going to give you mind share over time. I mean, you know, especially if you are wanting to take over a neighborhood and you have the opportunity to do that, it's just another way to touch that audience.
Super valuable touch.
And while you're at the open house, you can go live. You can go live while you're there, invite people there. Right. And the truth is that it's almost like reciprocity. If people don't come, it's still you're demonstrating to the marketplace that you're out there selling homes.
They see you out there working.
Yeah. Yep. And so you like, hey, I'm at this open house in Frisco. I just want to kind of give you an update. This home's listed at $450. Homes in this price range right now have a pending ratio of about XY% a month. Right. You can start educating the market, demonstrating that you're an expert, become a subject matter expert to all of those people. You can offer while you're on the video. And if you would like to, if you're currently renting and you would like a free list of homes that, you know, that you could qualify for or afford based upon what you're paying in rent, you can simply comment on this Facebook Live or PM me and I'll send you a list. We have people right now just doing that. So it's murdering it, right? And so it's all about getting out there, and it is audience. The new audience is not your database. The audience is social media. You got the whole database. It's right there. Right. Now you have to go out there and, you know, it's called social media for a reason. You got to go out there and be social, right? You can't sit in the office and say it's, you know, not busy. Right. Imagine if you went to a party and you walked in and there was 100 people there and you knew for a fact, 100% fact, 10 of those people were going to list their home in the next 6 months. Would you be trying to figure out who they were? Right. Would you be, you know, what would you say when you found out which ones were? How would you approach them? Would you have something to say? Would you be able to articulate your value? Would you be able to set the appointment? Would you ever, you know, what would you do? Because those are the things you have to do in order to be successful in real estate in general. It's just social media there's always a party. There's always a barbecue. You know, you got all of these different places you could be going, building these engaged audiences and putting this content out there. So when the person who's going to list in July is ready to list and they think of someone, they think of you over anybody else because they've seen you, right? Right.
Top of mind.
Well, and what's really cool too now is like, you know, sometimes it's hard to think about, like when you're thinking about a database strategy. I mean, think about all the funnels and stuff that we've built throughout the, you know, 10, 15 years we've really been focused, especially online. You know, you have to sit down and think about, okay, well, I'm going to send email 1 and then I'm going to wait 3 days and send email 2 and then we're going to, you know, send a voicemail and like trying to build out all this automation and stuff, like, or build out a generic drip campaign to maintain a relationship. It doesn't work. For one thing, people don't open their dang email, you know, and it's not relevant conversation. It's not relevant to them. You know, you can't anticipate what's going to be relevant to somebody and get their attention, you know, 30 days from now, 40 days from now. But when you have people that are even just your database, if you just have a little custom audience that you're just retargeting people and making sure that you're staying in front of them, it's like the stealth way to stay in front of all of your people, your unconverted leads, your past clients, like everybody, and stay relevant, stay top of mind. And it costs nothing. Right. I mean, it costs pennies to retarget these people. It's like the biggest secret out there. And I think like 99.99% of people don't do it. And the people that do it, it shows. And they say, man, I see you everywhere. You know, things must be really good. Right. Yeah. Yep. You know, anyways.
And it lives. I mean, they're assets. They live forever. So, you know,
shelf life.
Yeah. They're like building, you know, making those huge deposits. What would you say are the top 5, either of you, the top 5 leverage points in an open house funnel? What are the biggest places that if you move the needle here, is going to have all and the reason I'm asking is because I was, there was something that I thought of. I was thinking about the survey, and I was like, for me, if I was doing open house, I would literally call everybody in the neighborhood
100.
and I would say, hey, listen, I'm doing a 2020 homeownership survey for one of your neighbors. They're actually selling their home, and we're going to be holding it open. And a lot of the times people are looking for something a little bit different. And so just had a quick question. Are you going to be selling your home in the next, 12 months? Would you be interested in taking a cash offer, a 72-hour cash offer, or what you have a little new USB you're working on, right?
Yeah, that's it right there.
Yeah.
Up to 5 offers in the next 48 hours guaranteed.
Yeah, I would love to have that. In fact, we're going to be doing February. What's your phone number? When you got a good value proposition, I swear it's when someone says, how's that work?
Right.
If you can get them to say, how does that work? Then you got to, if people aren't looking at your signature, and you really can't do good on an open house or any marketing without the right value prop.
For sure.
Yeah.
It's interesting. I know that, definitely people are not going to ask you how's that work when if your signature line is I love referrals. Or it's I go above and beyond for my clients.
Right.
I mean, come on, those are table stakes.
Right.
And that's what's funny when you ask people their value proposition 99% of the time in real estate, they don't have one, and they literally tell you something that's just like a table stake of being in business. Right.
It's every time I ask that question in a group of agents, I get literally crickets, right? Like,
yeah, it's crazy.
What's your value proposition? They have no idea.
Yeah, that's where you start. So that's got to be a leverage point, right? That's got to be one of the top leverage points is like value proposition and offer. Right. So I'll just go ahead and take a stab at it. Right. So if I was to lay out 5 leverage points for open house funnel, number 1, I would say that what most people don't realize is it's a buyer and a seller strategy. So I would go in number 1 and have a strategy for my buyers and a strategy for my sellers. Those are 2 different offers. So I'm going to think about those differently. I would definitely be calling the neighborhood. So I'd be doing event-based circle prospecting around that for sale by owner. You can even leverage technology for that. I think that what happens, you can use slide broadcast. You can go direct to, a voicemail. Like there's lots of different things that you can do. I don't want to, give a clinic into all the tactics, but I think the strategy is have a strategy for sellers for every open house, right? And there should be a metric. There should be an action that you're taking and a metric that's tied to it. Because what happens, man, and this is what I've seen as I've been working with people and helping them implement open house funnel is like they get to where when you can get to the point to where every time you do an open house, I walk away with, I walk away with a buyer and I walk away with a seller. Well, then you make sure that thing stays running every single weekend, right? You would never stop, whether it's you doing it or somebody else.
Well, let me tell you why they don't do it and why they don't stop. And I'm just gonna lay it flat out. It's just the wrong mindset. Most agents don't do revenue generating activities, and if they do, they don't know how much to do. They're not like if you look at an agent's day, they don't plan their day. They're not accountable. I think by the very act of if you want to get down to the basics about making money now, if you want to make money now, then where are you investing your time and money every day? And how are you what's the one metric, your effort metric that you're getting measured that's saying that you're doing the things that are in your control? If it were my son, I'm telling you right now, I guarantee it, I would have him a go for no goal. Not that because I know that whether it's people naturally think stuff doesn't work and they don't know they don't even know what works. For me, property brochures worked. Increased my calls to my office by 300%. But you can't have the address on the front. You can only have the price, and what you do on the back matters. You have to have other properties. But you as a marketer, you're always trying to iterate on those funnels, because the truth is when you're at your peak, you really got 3 or 5 things that are representing 80% of your business. And you're trying to go out there and find something to beat your worst performing thing so that you can reinvest your money or reinvest your time. But it starts with the mindset, always starts with mindset. There's so many agents out there. And listen, I just didn't like being hungry or broke. And I didn't like I really do like peace of mind. So if I wake up I'm going to think like, well, how do I play offense today? What could I do versus joining the conversation with the other 80 agents, which we already know 30% of them are going to be out of the business because no one's mentoring them and leading them. And they probably got to the point where they couldn't turn their mindset around. It would be too difficult. You know, when you meet an agent that, you know, they just have stinking thinking, you know? And so, but you then meet these agents that you feel like, oh, I know it. I see it in your eye.
I love those.
You're going to be successful.
I had one on the phone yesterday, like two yesterday that were that mindset. Like, I know you're going to do exactly what I'm going to tell you. I can't wait to hear the results. Right?
Because you know they're going to get it.
That's always the best.
Yeah, and that 100 no's is just giving that meaning. It's not being focused on the outcome. It's understand that real estate is going to be difficult. Things are not going to ever work. Funnels that work on day one are what we call miracles. Things take work. They take iteration. They take really relentless pursuit.
Right.
And a lot of the times just having a mentor, you know, there's times that I'm able to ask you or ask Woods, which gives me all of the flexibility in the world to be, you know, to have two great friends that are great marketers to get, you know, hey, what do you think about this? Give me feedback about that. Poke holes in this. So it's finding out who has what you wanted, what stage of the business are you at, so you can apple to apples. Don't be trying to do something if someone's at a different stage than you. If you're 0 to 14 deals, what did you do to go from 14 to 25? What did you do to go from 25 to 48? What did you do to go 48? Because all of those things, the principles are different, right?
Yep.
And so it's identifying what stage you're at, identifying the problem statement based upon the principle, because just like anything, success isn't exclusive. If you're not getting what you want, you have not learned something. So be a learning machine. And what I would tell someone at the very early stages, when you only have money or only have time and not money, then you're going to have to get used to doing that manual labor,
right,
which is going out there to find that business. But if you're going to do it, here's one of the best ways to do it. Here's the best audience to go after. Here's a way to do. I mean, one thing about open house is at open house you can do other things while you're there. You can read a book, right, on marketing.
Yep.
You can listen to a podcast on marketing. Net time, no extra time.
Right.
So for an open house, if you're working on your personal development, you go sit at this house for 3 hours and you get through a book that you would have never read because you're too busy. What's the compound effect of reading? You know, all of us know that books have changed our life, right? So it's just understanding, you know, what are you doing every single day to move you closer to your goals? What are your revenue generating activities? What percentage of your time are you doing high leverage, high value? And what things do you need to stop doing? And I was lucky I had Jay to call as a mentor. Who's the person in your life that you can just pick up the phone and say, hey man, will you look at my week? Will you look at my day? Will you look at my month and give me some feedback on how you would have invested your time? Because here's what I tell people. If I became your 50-50 partner and I come to the office and I got to split all my shit with you, and you're at the Hamburger Man and you're at the happy hour every week and you're showing up at 9 o'clock and you're doing shuffling papers and doing a bunch of shit that don't make money, but then we ain't going to be partners long, right? The only way I want you to be doing the things that I'm doing, and I'm going to be doing things that make money. You're going to be doing things that make money. Right. If me and you were partners and we got to pay our bills by selling real estate, and day one they said you guys can't start with nothing, you only get $200, I can guarantee you we're going to be doing a whole lot of something that is a contact sport, and we're going to be getting a whole lot of no's. We're going to find yeses, and after we get enough yeses in the hopper, we're going to be investing in order to scale with.
I got to tell you this story.
Tell me.
So there's a new show it's on Hulu. That's my TV now. It's on
nice. Hulu and Disney.
Yeah, Hulu.
You get the packet. Yeah. You got the package.
I got the package.
Irresistible offer.
Unbelievable.
Yeah. $3
And they're doing such a better job than Netflix at putting the right content in front of you based on what you're watching. Well, there's a new show out called Undercover Billionaire. The guy's a billionaire. He's got this belief he's had for years that he could go anywhere in the country, drop him into a market, parachute into a market with $100 in his pocket, and he could build $1 million company in 90 days. That's the premise of the show. So they drop him in Erie, Pennsylvania, which is like Lawton, Oklahoma, and he's got a pickup truck, an old pickup truck. He can't use his name, he can't use his contacts, and he's got to turn that $100. Like he's got to pay for a hotel room, or he's going to sleep. He slept in his truck the first night. It is entertaining as can be, but this dude got a humbling in the first 7 days of trying to figure out how he was going to make money. But it's an excellent show. It's exactly what we're talking about. Like doing the dollar productive activities. You got, and the best thing about it was the first thing he did was he did the math. It's going to cost him $1,100 a month to live. So they're at 90 days to build this company. He said, I got to go make $3,300, cover my living expenses. That was his first goal. Cover the, that's that whole looking at, your cash conversion cycle and understanding what your monthly bills are. This is my core capital, $3,300. Now I don't have to worry about that. I can eat, I can sleep, I can shower, I can do all those things. Now I can go focus on the strategy. Right. And so anyways, it's a really good, I wonder
if he was sleeping in those 90 days.
No, he wasn't sleeping in. He was barely sleeping.
Yeah. Yeah. Cause that's what it takes.
Right. But yeah, it's and then you can do the things, once you get your core capital, then you can focus on the strategy, the big thing that's going to be making money. You can do the things that are, the tactical things that you want to do, but you can't do because you're so focused on cash flow.
Yeah. Look over my shoulder. What's it say? HLAs. That's for a reason. HLAs, high leverage activities. What things do I do that produce the most value in the marketplace? If you don't know your HLAs. Yeah.
And you said something earlier that I think is worth, really, nailing down. Like, show me your calendar and I'll tell you how focused you are. Are you doing, and if you don't even have a calendar and you don't have your day planned, it's not like you're going to follow it exactly, but if you don't at least have a plan for every single day, that's the one habit that if you create will have the biggest compound effect on everything, is getting clear on what you're going to do today. What's the things that matter? Put that in your calendar first and then go after it. You know what I mean? Like, if you're not doing that, then I can tell you you're not going to be efficient and you're not going to, you're probably not going to reach your goals.
That's where you always really, really start.
Right.
If you can't manage yourself, you can't manage anything.
Right.
Heck yeah, man.
Well, that's awesome, man. I think we're probably going to need to wrap up. We got to get on the road, man. So we're heading down to the Bandera.
Yeah, we're heading to the Bandera 100K race, and people always ask, why do you do that stuff? And the reason why is because if you did ask, I know you didn't, but if you did, I'll tell you why. The reason why is because anytime you're doing anything, your mind talks to you, and you got to be able to have consciousness around what's true or not. I know that, whenever you get out there, first of all, in order to run 100 miles, 100K, you got to be able to manage your day, because at some point, if you don't do that work, you can't get there. You got to be able to have better planning. But at the end of the day, when you're there and you think you don't have any more in the tank, that it can't be done, and you see what other people are doing and you know that it can be, you start hearing, man, you want to walk, you want to stop, all of these things. Even on training, when you're training, the process of training for that, your first 10 mile or your first 15 mile or your first 30 mile or your first 37 miles, your brain's always saying, man, it's Saturday, we'll just skip this one run, or we'll just not do this. It creates a muscle of discipline, most importantly, of not only doing the things that you don't want to do, but also working through the mind because your mind wants to do something else, that's probably more fulfilling at the time, but you don't have the option because what they say, success, the rent is due every day, right?
Yep.
And so anyway, so that's hopefully what we'll get out of it is get some awareness. I know we'll be in the middle of the dark, and hopefully it won't get cold like it did last time.
It's going to get cold. It's going to get 30 degrees. So you better have a plan for the cold.
Yeah.
That's the drop bag.
Yeah. So we're going to go get it in. Thank you, Jay, for jumping in today. Woods, appreciate you.
All right, guys. Well, again, until next time, we're going to sign this episode of Get Money Now off. And
make sure you know those revenue generating activities, high leverage, HLAs. You're either working on creating a sale or servicing a sale, and own it. Don't make no excuses.
Yep.
Join getmoneynow.com.
Thanks for checking out the Get Money Now podcast. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did enjoy it, you're really going to enjoy our Facebook community. You can become a part of the group by going to joingetmoneynow.com. And also, if you enjoyed this episode, make sure you subscribe and turn on the notifications so you can be notified of all the new episodes.